What secret could change everything we thought we knew about Yu Menglong? Yu Menglong's death mystery deepens. Xing Fei discloses secret child the world never knew. The revelation has shaken fans, stunned the media. Opened a chapter of his life hidden until now. Stay with Red Carpet Revealed as we uncover every shocking detail, right here, right now. What secret could possibly rewrite the legacy of Yu Menglong? Even after his death? The world thought it had mourned him fully, his career, his fame, his sudden and tragic end. Yet just as the grief seemed to settle into memory, Xing Fei, his longtime colleague and confidant, dropped a revelation so shocking it tore open old wounds and sparked new storms. Yu Menglong, the beloved star who died under mysterious circumstances, had left behind a secret child no one ever knew existed. The press conference where the revelation unfolded was unlike any other. Journalists filled the hall shoulder to shoulder, cameras clicking with nervous anticipation, live streams running across platforms as millions tuned in. When Xing Fei stepped to the podium, her face pale but resolute, the room fell into silence. Her hands trembled slightly as she held a folded paper, her voice breaking only once before she delivered the words that would send shockwaves across continents. Yu Menglong was not just an actor, not just a star. He was also a father. And his child is still alive. Gasps filled the room. Reporters exchanged looks of disbelief. Social media erupted instantly, hashtags like Yu Menglong's secret child, Xing Fei revelation, and death mystery deepened surged within minutes. Fans who had cried at his funeral now wept again, torn between heartbreak and betrayal. Could it be true? Had Yu, whose image was one of purity and romance, hidden such a monumental truth? For many, this revelation did not feel like scandal, it felt like a key. For years, whispers had surrounded Yu Menglong's death. Official reports cited a sudden health crisis. But inconsistencies lingered, deleted files, silenced colleagues, rumors of threats. Now, with Xing Fei's disclosure, a chilling possibility emerged. Perhaps the existence of this child was more than personal, it was connected to why he died. Xing Fei herself seemed burdened by the weight of her words. She explained that she had held a secret for years, bound by loyalty to Yu and fear of the consequences. But after his death, and after what she described as months of soul-crushing silence, she could no longer endure the weight of truth suppressed. He wanted to protect this child, she said through tears. He wanted the world to know. But he feared what would happen if the truth came out while he was alive. Her voice trembled, but her eyes burned with conviction. It was not merely the revelation of a hidden child, it was a suggestion that Yu Menglong had been entangled in struggles far darker than anyone realized. Almost immediately, speculation multiplied. The mother. Where was the child now? Was Yu aware of the dangers his secret posed? Tabloids scrambled to piece together timelines, digging through photographs, old interviews, and cryptic comments. Fans recalled moments where Yu had seemed unusually guarded, where he had smiled wistfully when asked about family. Some insisted the signs had been there all along. But beyond gossip, a more sinister theory emerged. If Yu had left behind a child, and if that child was tied in any way to the circumstances of his death, then the mystery deepened in ways few could have imagined. Some insiders whispered that Yu had been negotiating to secure his child's future, perhaps challenging powerful figures who preferred the secret remain buried. Others hinted at legal documents and financial transfers that suggested he had attempted to leave assets behind. The entertainment industry reeled. Brands that had built campaigns around Yu's flawless image now scrambled to respond. PR teams drafted frantic statements, trying to balance sympathy with damage control. Meanwhile, his colleagues remained divided. Some expressed shock. Others admitted they had suspected something. And still others refused to comment entirely. For Yu's fans, the revelation was devastating yet magnetic. Online forums filled with posts debating whether Yu had betrayed their trust or whether he had been protecting something greater than himself. One post, liked over 200,000 times. Maybe he hid this child not out of shame, but out of love. Maybe this was his way of keeping innocence safe from the world that consumed him. Theories spiraled. Was the child living abroad? Had Yu confided in close friends before his death? Why had Xing Fei chosen this exact moment to reveal the secret? Her timing, just as investigations into Yu's death seemed to fade, suggested intent, perhaps even a warning. Xing Fei insisted she revealed the truth not to create scandal but to honor Yu's unspoken wish. He told me once. Very quietly, she recalled. If something happens to me, don't let my child grow up as a ghost. I could not carry that silence any longer. Fashion reopened every question surrounding Yu's death. The official story, already fragile, now seemed almost insulting. Could the child have been a motive for silencing him? Was his death linked to efforts to conceal the truth? If so, the mystery was far from closed, it was only beginning. As the press conference ended, Fei broke down in tears, escorted away from the cameras as reporters shouted questions she refused to answer. The crowd outside surged with emotion, some applauded her courage. Others accused her of exploiting grief. But regardless of opinion, one fact was undeniable: the legacy of Yu Menglong would never be seen the same way again. And somewhere, out there, a child, innocent, hidden, and suddenly thrust into the heart of a mystery that had already shaken the world. Revelation did not stay confined to the four walls of the press hall, it spilled into the streets, the screens, the very veins of society. Within hours, television networks across Asia replayed Xing Fei's trembling words on loop. News anchors spoke with hushed astonishment, commentary mixing disbelief with morbid curiosity. International outlets quickly picked up the story, framing it as both a celebrity scandal and a human drama of Shakespearean proportions. For fans, the impact was seismic. Wept openly in live streams, recalling how Yu's songs and dramas had carried them through their darkest days. Others raged, accusing him of deception. Entire fan clubs splintered into factions, those who felt betrayed by the existence of a hidden child, and those who argued passionately that Yu's secret proved his humanity, his vulnerability in a world that demanded perfection. He wasn't a god. One fan wrote in a viral post. He was a man. And maybe that makes him even greater. Online detectives went to work immediately, going through Yu's past interviews and social media posts. Photo from 3 years prior, showing Yu leaving a clinic in the middle of the night, suddenly resurfaced. Another clip, where he hesitated when asked about future family plans, was replayed and analyzed for hidden meaning. Glance, every silence, every cryptic lyric was now reinterpreted as potential evidence. Meanwhile, Yu's colleagues in the entertainment industry found themselves besieged with questions. Some swore they had no idea. Admitted they had long suspected Yu carried a secret he never shared. A director who had worked with him recalled late-night conversations in which Yu confessed to being afraid of leaving something unfinished. At the time, the director assumed he meant a career ambition. Now, those words took on a haunting new weight. The deeper reporters dug, the more the puzzle expanded. Financial records hinted at unexplained monthly transfers from Yu's account to an anonymous beneficiary. Property deeds listed under shell companies showed a modest house in a quiet suburb. Was this where the child lived? If so, who was protecting them now? The most tantalizing and troubling question was the identity of the mother. Xing Fei did not name her, but speculation exploded. Some claimed it was a fellow actress Yu had been rumored to date briefly. Others whispered of a woman outside the industry, deliberately kept from the public eye. A few conspiracy theorists even suggested the child was the product of coercion, part of a larger scheme that entangled Yu in the very web that may have cost him his life. The idea that the child might be linked to Yu's death added layers of darkness to an already tragic story. If his secret was known by powerful figures, whether industry magnates, political elites, or criminal networks, it could have become leverage. And if Yu refused to comply, if he fought to protect the child, would that refusal have made him a target? Xing Fei herself fueled these suspicions with a carefully chosen phrase. To live, she told the reporters, voice cracking. But he was trapped. And everything he did, every choice, was to shield his child from the world that destroyed him. Those words set off a frenzy. Was she implying blackmail? Did Yu die because he resisted forces larger than himself? Suddenly, the mystery of his death was no longer about medical reports or rumors of exhaustion. It was about protection, sacrifice. Possibility that his love for a hidden child had sealed his fate. For Yu's family, the disclosure was both a wound and a revelation. His mother, who had long fought to challenge the official narrative of his passing, stood outside her home as reporters crowded her gate. Tears streamed down her face as she whispered, "I begged him to share everything with us. He always smiled and said, 'One day, Mama.' Now I finally understand what he meant. Sister, in contrast, reacted with fury, not toward you, but toward the industry that had consumed him. He was cornered. She told a small group of journalists. Did happiness. But they wouldn't allow him to have it. Wanted to be a father. But they wouldn't let him. So they painted him into a cage. He tried to break free. He paid the price. Each metaphor resonated deeply online. Fans began sharing artwork of you trapped in glass boxes. His hand pressed against the surface as if reaching for freedom. Hashtags like "You in the Cage" and "Free the Truth" trended alongside discussions of the secret child. The narrative shifted from scandal to tragedy, not a man deceiving the world, but a man destroyed by forces determined to keep him silent. But not everyone sympathized. Detractors argue that the child's revelation was too conveniently timed, just as public interest in Yu's death had begun to wane. They accused Xing Fei of exploiting grief for attention, dragging a child into the spotlight for her own gain. Taters on state-aligned media questioned the legitimacy of her claims, warning against rumor-driven hysteria. Still, the more they tried to downplay it, the more the story spread like wildfire. Amid the chaos, one undeniable fact emerged: Yu Menglong's death could no longer be seen as a closed case. Xing Fei's words had cracked the narrative wide open. Whether the secret child was real or not, whether the story was exaggerated or accurate, it forced the world to confront a darker possibility, that Yu had been silenced not by fate, but by a system that punished truth. If that was the case, then his hidden child was not merely an extension of his legacy. The child was the living proof of the life he had tried to preserve, a life the world was never meant to see. Storm unleashed by Xing Fei's revelation showed no signs of calming. What began as a shocking confession quickly transformed into a global frenzy, one that blurred the lines between grief, scandal, and conspiracy. For every voice accusing Yu Menglong of betrayal, there were 10 more insisting he had been protecting something sacred. The more people dug into his life, more fragments of truth emerged: unexplained payments, cryptic diary entries, colleagues recalling his guarded words. Each clue seemed to confirm what Xing Fei had revealed: Yu had carried a secret too heavy to bear, a secret that might have made him a target. By the end of that week, the narrative had shifted. This was no longer just about a hidden child. It was about why Yu kept the secret, and whether that secret was tied to his untimely death. Xing Fei's final words at the press conference echoed across the world: this child is the last piece of truth he wanted revealed. The implication was chilling. The existence of the child had been enough to silence Yu. What else might still be hidden in the shadows? And so closed not with answers, but with questions, questions that would drive part 2 into darker, more dangerous territory. Following Xing Fei's bombshell revelation became some of the most chaotic in modern entertainment history. What had begun as hushed speculation about Yu Menglong's tragic death erupted into a firestorm that consumed not only his memory but also the industry he once defined. The existence of a secret child was not merely a personal matter, it had become the pivot of a narrative filled with power, betrayal, and fear. Across China, vigils turned into protests. Who had once held candles now marched through city streets carrying banners of Yu's face beside a child's silhouette, chanting for answers. In Seoul, Tokyo, Paris, and Los Angeles, international fans organized demonstrations of solidarity. Hashtags such as "You Secret Child," "Justice for You," and "Protect the Truth" trended worldwide. No longer just about grief, it was about justice, about uncovering what had been buried. Media coverage intensified by the hour. Major networks ran documentaries overnight, piecing together timelines of Yu's career and highlighting inconsistencies in the official account of his death. Clips of his last interviews were replayed endlessly, journalists pointing out a hesitation in his voice, veiled references to pressures behind the curtain. Experts in body language debated whether he had been silently crying for help all along. Meanwhile, attention turned to the child. His innocent life caught in the center of such darkness. Some tabloids claimed to have located the child abroad, under a different name. Others alleged that the child lived quietly in a suburban home paid for by Yu's hidden funds. No photographs were released, but blurry images circulated online, sparking fierce debate about authenticity. Was this the face of Yu's legacy, or a pawn in a far larger conspiracy? The identity of the mother remained a focal point of speculation. Xing Fei refused to reveal her name, Whispers grew louder. Some insisted it was a fellow actress whose sudden retirement years ago now seemed suspicious. Others suggested a non-celebrity partner you had loved in secrecy. A darker theory, spreading like wildfire online, claimed that the mother had been threatened into silence. Her disappearance from the public eye orchestrated by those who sought to erase Yu's private life altogether. While the gossip swirled, the entertainment industry itself began to fracture. Tracks tied to Yu's image were suspended. Product endorsements pulled. Dramas shelved indefinitely. Industry insiders spoke of chaos in boardrooms as executives feared being implicated in a scandal that was spiraling beyond control. Some insiders even suggested that Yu's discovery of financial fraud, possibly tied to the same shell firms mentioned in earlier rumors, was linked to the pressure that destroyed him. The deeper the press investigated, the more sinister the picture became. Journalists uncovered evidence of funds transferred from Yu's accounts to shadowy entities connected to entertainment conglomerates. These same entities had been accused in the past of laundering money through film projects. Was Yu's death simply a tragic accident? Stumbled too close to truths that powerful figures would kill to conceal? Xing Fei herself remained under relentless scrutiny. Gave few interviews after her revelation, but when she did, her words carried the gravity of someone both burdened and liberated. I did not speak to create scandal, she told one outlet. Spoke because silence was killing him a second time. Resonated deeply with Yu's fans. Saw her not as a troublemaker, but as a whistleblower fighting to honor her friend's last wish. For Yu's family, the disclosure reopened wounds but also offered purpose. His mother announced that the family would do everything in their power to protect the child. Child carries his blood, she said. And with it, proof that his story is not finished. That single line was replayed on news broadcasts worldwide, becoming a rallying cry for those demanding accountability. But the fight for truth was far from simple. Powerful voices pushed back, dismissing the revelation as fabrication. Certain outlets accused Xing Fei of opportunism, claiming she invented this story for attention. Others suggested Yu's family had been manipulated. Yet the louder the denials, the more the public believed. If there was nothing to hide. One viral comment read, "Why are they working so hard to silence her?" International observers weighed in. Human rights groups called for protection of the alleged child's identity, warning against exploitation. Western media framed the scandal as emblematic of corruption in global entertainment industries, where image and money often overshadow humanity. Universities began holding forums about the case, depicting it as both cultural phenomenon and cautionary tale. Weeks passed, new fragments of evidence surfaced. Written note allegedly from Yu emerged. Addressed to my child, in it, he wrote, "I wanted to give you the world. Not keep it safe. One day, you will know the truth. One day, they cannot hide you, whether authentic or not." Ignited fresh outrage and heartbreak. The mystery only deepened. Was the child the reason Yu was silenced? Did he threaten to expose those who controlled him? Or was the child simply an innocent left behind, whose very existence now threatened powerful empires? By the end of the second month after Xing Fei's revelation, it was clear that Yu Menglong's story had outgrown celebrity gossip. It had become a battle between truth and silence, love and betrayal, power and vulnerability. His secret child was no longer just a hidden life, it was a symbol, a question mark carved into the heart of a tragedy. The world leaned closer, desperate for answers. One haunting question remained. If this was the truth Yu died protecting, what other secrets did he take with him to the grave? Thank you for staying with us through this extraordinary journey into grief, scandal, and revelation. Carpet revealed. We believe stories like Yu Menglong's are more than headlines. They are mirrors reflecting the cost of fame, the fragility of truth, power of secrets. The world may never fully know why Yu Menglong died the way he did. But one truth has already escaped. His voice lives on, not only in his work, but in the hidden legacy now revealed. Legacy changes everything. Red carpet revealed.